Chapter 271, Original Quantum Frequency. Lu Peng, listen to this junior's exclamation. There's a high chance that Mr. Ku is fooling the new junior again. It seems that it won't be long before we have another new member in the Perception Instantiation Research Center. Zhao Yulin, a student who had been sitting quietly on a listening platform that Zhu Tui passed by in the research center, suddenly opened his eyes. There was a slight smile on his lips. Mr. Ku must be fooling the newbies again. Back then, you and I were also fooled by Mr. Ku like this. The moment a clone appeared, I was shocked. And I entered the School of General Senses, but now Lu Peng was the student who was sitting under the tree. What's wrong now? Are you still not satisfied? These words caused Shang Sheng, who was sitting on the other side of the mountain, to be displeased. Lu, you sensed 4 original quantum frequencies, right? Look at you now. Wherever you go on a clearing mission, you can heal, fight, and even provide support. There are a bunch of beautiful seniors surrounding you. What are you not satisfied with? I'm the one who's F-King depressed. It's been a year since I started sensing the second original quantum frequency. You've sensed the second original quantum frequency in a year. This speed is fast enough. It's almost comparable to mine. Lu Peng praised Shang Sheng, but he was still a little smug. He had sensed 4 original quantum frequencies in less than 2 years and 3 months. This speed was amazing. By the way, old Zhao, what level are you at now? Lu Peng asked the man sitting on the listening platform. I have 4 original quantum frequencies like you, Zhao Yulin said. When he heard that Zhao Yulin sensed the same frequency as him, Lu Peng immediately grinned. Old Zhao, it seems that your cultivation progress has been a little slow recently. I've almost caught up to you. Lu Peng was a little proud. Are you almost catching up to me? Zhao Yulin smiled. Then he'll have to work harder and quickly gather a pair of original quantum frequencies. Lu Peng was stunned. Make another pair? What do you mean, Zhao? You've already made a pair? Yes, I've only sensed 4 types of original quantum frequencies so far. However, one of the original quantum frequencies has already completed the internal and external resonance and formed a pair. Zhao Yulin smiled. Lu Peng was silent. He had been slapped in the face. He had gathered a pair of original quantum frequencies that resonated internally and externally. This progress was much faster than his. Shang Sheng exclaimed in shock. Brother Zhao, does that mean that you already have a true supernatural ability? You can say that. Mr. Ku did not fool us back then. It's just that it's a little difficult to cultivate. Treat. You must treat us tonight. Another student followed suit and started shouting. Only Lu Peng felt a little uncomfortable. After working hard for so long, he felt that the gap between him and Zhao Yulin had widened again. Just as these students had discussed, Ku Qingshan was still fooling Zhu Tui. Mr. Ku, is this real? Does this count as a clone? If it's a clone, does your clone have the ability to attack? Zhu Tui fired off a barrage of questions. You'll know when you try. Close your eyes. It'll change directions. You can distinguish which is real and which is fake, Ku Qingshan said. Okay. 3 seconds later, Zhu Tui opened his eyes again. He still had a look of surprise on his face. To be honest, the 2 Ku Qingshan in front of him were exactly the same. Even his clothes and bald head were exactly the same. It was impossible to tell which was real and which was fake with the naked eye. How is it? Both could speak too. You can't recognize me, right? Ku Qingshan was a little smug. Mr. Ku, the one on the left is fake, right? The one on the right is the real one, right? Zhu Tui's words made Ku Qingshan stop smiling. He was very surprised. In the next moment, Ku Qingshan's expression became one of shock. Kid, your mental perception range has exceeded 8 meters. Isn't your latest cultivation level certification 5 meters? Ku Qingshan knew very well how Zhu Tui was able to tell the difference. He could only tell if it was real or fake through his mental perception. However, the problem was that both of them were more than 8 meters away from Zhu Tui. This time, it was Zhu Tui's turn to be stunned. He had accidentally exposed a little of his hidden ability. However, it was nothing. It was only 8 meters. The distance of Zhu Tui's mental perception had already exceeded 15 meters. This during the test, ordinary mental perception only gave the option of 5 meters. You can choose to undergo the advanced mental perception test, you brat. Ku Qingshan stopped talking. He understood what Zhu Tui meant. You've only been in school for 3 months, but you've already learned how to hide your strength and scheme against others. Zhu Tui did not retort when he heard that. He chuckled. Mr. Ku, you haven't answered my question, Zhu Tui urged. If you really want to classify it, you can also classify him as one of my clones. You can think of him as one of my clones. It doesn't have any offensive abilities for the time being, but it can provide support. As he spoke, Ku Qingshan casually took out a gun and threw it to his clone. The clone caught it and pulled out the safety. He aimed the gun at Zhu Tui. It shocked Zhu Tui. However, it's only limited to firearms. It doesn't have any other offensive capabilities. Zhu Tui moved closer to Ku Qingshan's clone and poked it with his finger. He felt an invisible force field blocking his finger. I want to try, sure. Then, Zhu Tui conjured a mental awl and poked it with his hand. The mental awl could not pierce through. In the next moment, Zhu Tui suddenly exerted his strength and stabbed the mental awl toward it. Qingshan's clone shattered like a bubble. It instantly dissipated. The gun in his hand fell to the ground. Ku Qingshan, however, shrugged his shoulders nonchalantly. The combat method doesn't have much of a supporting role for the time being. However, it can be very useful sometimes. Healing, cloning. Mr. Ku, is this the ability of the School of General Senses? Zhu Tui concluded. No, you're wrong. Follow me first. Ku Qingshan led Zhu Tui to a laboratory in front of them. I've told you before that the real ability of the School of General Senses is to materialize everything we sense. With this as the starting point, the healing ability will be very simple. For the healing ability, I only sensed the frequency of bone proliferation at your broken leg. Then, I used my mind power to materialize the frequency of your bone proliferation. By increasing the frequency of your bone proliferation by dozens of times, you have achieved the goal of treating your broken leg. Of course, it was also because you had been injected with the bone growth enhancing elixir and the circulation enhancing elixir. You had also taken the level E energy restoration elixir. Otherwise, all I can do is shorten the healing cycle of your broken bones. I can't let you completely recover from your broken leg in just a few minutes, Ku Qingshan said. The frequency of bone proliferation? That's right. Qingshan nodded. This is a relatively easy to sense original quantum frequency. For example, the clone ability that I displayed just now was a little difficult. You need to sense the original quantum information of your entire life state. However, just sensing the original quantum frequency of life was not enough. The life form was too complicated and mysterious. Therefore, I used a drop of my own blood. This drop of blood contains the original quantum frequency information of my life state, Ku Qingshan said. The original quantum frequency information of an individual's life state? Zhu Tui grasped a crucial point. That's right. Let me show you again. They arrived at a glass corridor. On the other side of the corridor was a stone room. There was an ancient fire pit in the stone room. There were many ashes in the fire pit. Go, do you see the firewood over there? Go to the fire pit and start a fire, Ku Qingshan said. Zhu Tui did as he was told with a puzzled expression. In less than a minute, the fire was up. He also retreated to the glass corridor of the stone room. Do you think the fire would have changed if we both stood outside? Ku Qingshan asked. It shouldn't have, right? Zhu Tui was puzzled. Ku Qingshan's lips curled into an expression that said, I knew you would say something like that. He turned his head slightly and focused his gaze. The flames in the stone room suddenly surged. The small flame that was originally more than 10 centimeters long suddenly grew dozens of times. The flame directly reached the top of the stone chamber. In an instant, the flames surged and heat assaulted his face. Zhu Tui was stunned once again. He quickly placed his hand on the glass. The glass was very hot. He ran to the side and opened the door. The heat wave immediately hit him. Zhu Tui looked at Ku Qingshan with a stunned expression. It was true fire. This was not an illusion. Ku Qingshan's extremely obscure mental fluctuations retracted slightly, and the fire in the stone room gradually subsided. Press that switch and the fuel powder will be scattered in the stone room, Ku Qingshan said. Zhu Tui did as he was told. The fuel powder fell. Boom! The stone room was instantly filled with flames. The raging fire pounced directly under the glass. This time, the heat wave hit him. Fire actually has a specific original quantum frequency in the world. As long as you can sense this original quantum frequency, you can control flames. Ku Qingshan spoke as his mind power slowly fluctuated. In the next moment, the flames in the stone room seemed to be controlled by him. Suddenly, the flames disappeared, leaving behind a small flame that looked like it was about to extinguish at any moment. Suddenly, a fire started again. Suddenly, the entire stone room was engulfed in flames. With another pause, all the flames in the stone room were extinguished. This method shocked Zhu Tun the entire time. Mr. Ku, can you magnify and shrink the fire by sensing the original quantum frequency of the fire? Zhu Tui's comprehension ability was also extremely shocking. To explain it in layman's terms, it's indeed as you said. However, that's not all we can do in the School of General Senses. If one could sense the original quantum frequency of the flames both internally and externally, they could resonate internally and externally to achieve a quantum entanglement state. We can easily obtain supernatural abilities in our School of General Senses. If you're powerful enough, it'll be easy for you to become a multi-element superb individual. Ku Qingshan suddenly turned around and looked behind Zhu Tui, who was more than 10 meters away from him. His gaze froze. Boom! A huge fire appeared out of thin air. The high-temperature tongue of fire instantly swept toward Zhu Tui's hair. Zhu Tui instinctively used time distortion when he was attacked. 0.2 milliseconds of absolute reaction time. It was enough for him to use his mental shield to block the flames. The flames that were originally just there to scare Zhu Tui were instantly blocked by Zhu Tui. Ku Qingshan was extremely stunned. This time, it was Ku Qingshan's turn to be shocked. Zhu Tui was also shocked. As a perhuman, the School of General Senses actually had extraordinary offensive abilities. This was something that Zhu Tui had never expected. He could materialize everything he senses. At this moment, Zhu Tui suddenly understood what Ku Qingshan meant. He also understood the true meaning of the School of General Senses.